Welcome to the Skirted Professional Podcast, a place where women of all different walks of life come together to share their journeys and wisdom they've learned along the way. We're so excited that you're part of this community. We hope you always leave this space feeling encouraged, inspired, and a little less alone. The Skirted Professional is brought to you by C Saucy, a medical apparel company that specializes in modern scrub skirt sets for the working woman. Their goal is to give every woman the option to wear a skirt in their workplace without compromising the comfort, style, or functionality of their scrubs. You can check them out at csaucy.com. That's CSAUCY.com. All right, without further ado, let's get to today's episode. On today's episode of The Skirted Professional, I am very excited to be interviewing Tara Abernathy. Tara is a board-certified family nurse practitioner, a mom of 4 very beautiful children, and she's also an active member of her church. Tara is passionate about being a minister in the medical field, and I cannot wait to hear more about it. Tara, welcome to the Skirted Professional Podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to hear your story and your journey. We know you're doing some incredible things that I'm sure people around you know about, but a large majority of people would not. And so I can't wait to share that with everyone today. So Tara, why don't you start by telling us your background on who you are?
Okay. Well, I am a family nurse practitioner. I work here in the Memphis, Tennessee suburb area, Carterville, Olive Branch area. And I am married to my husband, Brennon. We've been married for 15 years.
Awesome.
I have 4 beautiful children. I have Brennon, who is 13, Briley, who is 10, turning 11 this week, Brody, who is 9, and Brooklyn, who is 6. So they keep me very busy.
Love it.
And I'm also the caretaker of my mom, who had a stroke about 7 years ago, and she lives with me. So I get to do some nursing work right here at home too. So
wow.
So
I love all the B names.
Yes, we have all B's. We were only aiming for 2 kids, and we had a couple accidents, and then we're like, well, we'll just keep it flowing.
Just keep it going. Now, does your husband's name start with a B?
Yeah, he's Brandon. So
Brandon.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're the special one.
I am. I'm the odd one out.
It's very unique. Yeah. Well, let's start with your role as a family nurse practitioner. I know you juggle several areas in your life of being a mom and a professional, but let's hone in on being a family nurse practitioner. Would you walk our listeners through your journey, your educational journey?
Yeah, sure.
To get there, and then kind of give us snippets along the way, and then we'll figure out where you're at now.
Okay. So I knew I always wanted to work in medicine. It's something I wanted to do since I was little. My aunt was a doctor, and so I just used to love her stories when I was little. She'd be telling my aunts and uncles about things that she'd seen, and I was like, wow, it's amazing. Awesome. And so I just knew that was a passion. And so when I was just in middle school, I started volunteering at the local nursing home. Mm-hmm. And then in high school, I started volunteering at the hospital, and they let me see a lot of things that really just dug my interest more. And so I started my degree in biology and chemistry, and I finished that through University of Memphis, and my passion grew even deeper. I started dating my husband when I was in high school, and so we had already been dating quite a while, and so we wanted to get married. My parents made me promise I would get my bachelor's first, so I did. And so I started working for a doctor when I finished my bachelor's, and he's like, your career is very important. He's like, but if you're wanting to get married, I suggest that you take a year with your husband and y'all really just enjoy some time before you start medical school. And I was like, that makes sense. And so so we did. And in that year, I was doing some research, and I forgot my birth control for a couple of days on a little trip. And so I got pregnant. So that kind of put a little, spin on things. And so we started praying, Lord, my passion is the medical field. I've always loved it, but, I want to be a good mom too. What can I do that would allow me to have both? And so at the same time, I found out that there was an accelerated nursing program here in town that was new through Union University. And it was 2 years, so 60 hours of classes in 12 months. It was almost 6 days a week. It was a very intensive program, and they were only allowing students that were over a certain age and had already a background in one of the sciences. So you had to have a degree already. And so 300 people applied. I was nervous, and only 30 places were able to be filled, and I was thankfully one of them. So I did that, and so I was going to school, had a baby 4 months into the program. They told me first off that I would only get 2 days out when I had them. So I had them on a Thursday, back to school that next Monday. So I got Thursday and Friday out. Yeah, so it was crazy. And not to mention I had a 4th-degree episiotomy, so I hurt sitting on my donut in class. But anyway, it was done. And I don't miss that year because that was a hard year. But it was, lots of things to be learned. And I made some great friends that year. But and anyway, but it was good. So I made it out, and then I started working at the mother-baby unit. And I knew that I loved babies. They were so much fun. And I was like, I want more babies. I never realized I wanted babies. So I just, we got pregnant again. I started right into my master's program, and because I knew I wanted to be a provider in some sense. And so I started working on my nurse practitioner degree, and I finished that up. I did it online, and then I was able to do my clinical hours. Obviously, that's all in person. And so that's kind of my background in education. So it kind of, things change, but the Lord always knows, and he's got a path prepared for us, and it works either way. And so I still get to help people.
Well, I have a couple of things I want to ask in that story, but I'm laughing at the 4th-degree episiotomy and thinking of all of our non-medical professionals listening. They're like, what is that?
Yeah, that's a big old cut from one end to the other. So something you don't want. I had an old school doctor. Don't recommend that.
Right. It's just, if you don't know what it is, you don't want it.
Yeah, you do not want that.
That made me laugh. I love that. I don't love that for you, but I love that you just threw that in there nonchalantly.
Yeah. Well,
I think we can agree that medical professionals are a little strange.
Yes.
What is normal terminology for us?
Sorry.
No, I think it's great. It is me. That is me in normal life. My friends are like, what are you talking about? Oh, that's great. So life kind of went way differently than what you thought it would. You're applying for med school, find out you're pregnant, decide to change routes, a very intense nursing program. Mm-hmm. Tell us about being different in that nursing program. And obviously you're a lady of faith. So tell us about your journey with that.
So this was a new program. And so they had been having the regular program, but I don't think they had dealt with a lot of people that were adamant that they were going to wear skirts. And so they didn't know what to do with me, like in surgery, because they're like, well, you have to be covered. And I was like, well, I have tights on, I'm covered. I just have a skirt on top of it. Just think of it the same. Yeah. And so I had to go through some different levels to get administration to approve that. But I was determined that I was going to do this and still keep my faith. And I feel like the Lord honored me and allowed, the right people to make those changes available for me. And so, of course, I kind of think it was cute, though. We had white uniforms. And so, of course, the original, white skirt was ugly because it kind of ballooned out. But obviously, yours are way cuter now. You've gotten it much more the way it should be. But, I cut it off so it was like, comes to my knees instead of the frumpy, almost to your ankles.
If you can alter it, it works. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I can't sew, but I could get that stitch witchery stuff. And so I ironed it and hemmed it so it was the right length. I was working on it because I was poor. I was a nursing student. I had no money. So I had to do the cheapest possible way.
And you were a newlywed and expecting a child.
Yeah. So. We had $0.
$0, 0 cents.
Yes. 0 cents too sometimes, I think.
Oh my word. Wow. What a journey. That is very inspiring, though, for anyone who's listening that wants to go back to school and has kids, or
you can do it.
Yeah, if you're not the 18-year-old that's just going fresh into to college, you can do it and you can make that work.
You can.
You just have to want it.
You do.
So then you do your nurse practitioner program online, and then you go in
Hmm.
person with clinicals. Did you have a target specialty that you wanted to do throughout clinicals? I know you mentioned adult care.
Right. So I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. So that's why I did decide on the family, you know, option because in our area we do have a couple different programs. And one, we have a neonatal nurse practitioner program. We have a pediatric, psychiatric. There's several different ones. But I knew if I did family, I could kind of pick once I finished the program what I wanted to do. So I did family. When I was 15, there was a clinic in town that I actually went to, and they knew I was interested in medicine, so they offered me a position to work in their clinic just doing charts and things. And
Wow.
so I had always kept a good relationship with them, and they allowed me to come back and do my clinicals through them. And I had a feeling that if I did that, they might give me a job, and the doctor did. And so that just kind of worked out for me that we did mainly adults and some teens. And so I just thought family would make it easy, a route that you
Yeah.
could kind of pursue whatever, because my heart wasn't set totally yet.
Yeah.
And so it worked
Sure.
out.
Well, and you had a good variety of mother baby,
Hmm.
and you did, I think, primary care while in
Yes.
nursing school. Okay. Or
Hmm.
before that, you were working
Yeah.
for the doctor. So you had a broad knowledge. So I think that's really cool that you were able to hone in on the
Right.
family at that
Yeah.
point and use the experience you've had.
It has been nice. So you definitely learn a lot. And it's
Yeah.
nice treating families because when you know the whole family, you kind of understand the dynamics more. And so you can treat the patient better, I feel like. So,
Yeah. Yeah. You know their background, you know.
hmm.
Yeah, I agree. The dynamic that kind of
Hmm.
rounds that up. That's awesome. So how how did you manage having kids and working towards this degree all at the same time? I mean, you said you didn't even necessarily want to have kids, and then after the
Right.
first one, you were like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I want more.
Exactly. So yeah, I always thought I was going to be so career driven that that was going to be my life, and that was kind of the plan that I had for myself. And so when I had my first one, Brennon, he was just so perfect, and
Oh,
just the cutest little baby you've ever seen. And I just fell in love, and I was like, you know what, this is way better than I knew it could ever be. And
wow.
so I just started falling in love, and I knew, and then I started working in the nursery, and I just babies, babies,
Yeah.
babies. They were just
Yeah.
wonderful, and so I knew that that was, something that I just didn't know that was so great.
Yeah.
So I did have my second baby during nurse practitioner school, my master's program. At that point in time, my mom was my biggest supporter. She was wonderful, and she came to my rescue so many times. She was helping me babysit kids while I was going to school. My husband has been an amazing supporter. He is always, whatever I want to do, he's like, just do it, go get it.
Yeah.
And so I've had some great family support, and I know not everybody has that. So it does make it more difficult for
Yeah.
those that don't. So
Yeah. And then when your mom, you said she had a stroke.
she did. So thankfully, I made it through all my degrees. And in 2014, I was at work one day, and my sister gave me a call and said that mom's acting funny. We had started noticing some cognitive changes where she just wasn't quite herself, and so we had her checked out, and they said that she maybe had some early stages of dementia, but no other things. And so she gave me a call and said that she was kind of talking funny. And so she put her on the phone, and I could hear that she had some slurred speech. And I was in my clinic, seeing patients. And I
Yeah.
was like, you've got to call 911. I think she's had a stroke. And sure enough, she had. And so it rocked my world. I mean, she was my best friend. And I mean, my babysitter, like she did
Yeah.
everything for me. Like if we were out of groceries, I didn't tell her. She just made things appear. It was
Wow.
magical, like a fairy
Wow.
godmother, but she was my mom. And so it just really crushed me. I didn't think I could make it when it happened, but the Lord's, provided and taken care of me. And I learned in a different way to care for her. So anyway, she's took care of me, and then now I'm able to give back and take care of her. And so,
That's special.
mhm,
That's really special. Well, and I'm sure your kids love having her around, and then they lift her spirits too, which is
that's right.
best of both worlds there.
That's right.
So, what are you currently doing? We've talked about your past and other jobs
Yes.
you've had, but give us some insight into what you're doing now.
Okay. So for the last 10 years, I worked in the primary care office, and I saw patients not quite full time. I did 3.5 days a week. And I kind of just got tired because in primary care, you're required to see large numbers, and it's mentally exhausting. And
Yeah.
so all along, I had kind of worked some palliative care just on the side, kind of weekends here and there. And so a position became available that was full time, and I was able to slide out of primary care, not completely, but I just do a half a day a week there now. But I do more full time palliative care, which is and some hospice as well. But it's where I actually go into patients' homes and I see them there. I go into nursing facilities, and I also do new admissions from the hospital. And I really love it because our patient load is a lot smaller, so we're able to spend the amount of time that patients need and deserve, and meet them where they are. So that's really nice.
And is that all age ranges?
It is. I take care of newborns all the way till,
Oh,
I have one that's 103 right now. So all age ranges. So,
wow.
but the babies, I mean, it is sad. We have right here in town, we have Le Bonheur, which is a wonderful facility, and also St. Jude. And so I take care of those. I think my cancer babies are probably my hardest ones because they're living a normal life. And then one day, whatever symptom comes around, sometimes it's falling if they've got some kind of, you know, glioblastoma or neuro issue
Yeah.
that comes up, and their family's life is just changed forever just by one
Yeah.
little thing. And so we follow them, and we've got some great programs. We have the Make-A-Wish program, so we get to see them do some fun things to kind of help lift those spirits. But I just can't imagine what those families go through. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So
And so, why don't you tell our listeners what palliative care is and the
yeah.
extent of what you do with that?
Okay. So, palliative care, especially in children, for children, so much we don't do exactly hospice per se. So, hospice is where you have a 6 months or less life expectancy. So, with kids, they can still be palliative and get full treatment, even though we know they don't have much longer left in life, because families are allowed to make the decision if they want their child to pass at home or if they want them to pass in the hospital. And so they can get full treatment right up till the time that, they're close to passing, because our babies, we don't want them to suffer at all. We want, complete care. And so, but palliative in adults is more so where you've got some terminal illness. Doesn't necessarily you have 6 months or less to live, but you've got something that is very serious, and we're trying to keep you out of the hospital because nobody likes to go to the hospital. And so our goal is to keep you home and keep you comfortable.
Wow. Yeah, that's a special calling right there to walk with those families through the hardest times of their life.
It
And
is. But I found that these people are more receptive to God, that they are totally happy with you praying with them, especially if they're hurting and the medicine, is not quite working yet, excuse me. They will, they're happy if you hold their hand, and just being there and loving on them. They're very appreciative of your
yeah,
time, and then let me talk about Jesus. And that's
yeah.
that's what I appreciate about this position.
And what better a caregiver than an apostolic lady filled with the Holy Ghost in that room, bringing the angels down and power down to that room and giving life, speaking life to that family. That is powerful.
Right. Because honestly, a lot of times we're there more for the family than we are just for the patient, because the patient sometimes is so out of it they don't even realize you're there. But the family is hurting so bad. And even people that I've had, months and years ago, they'll still call me and thank me for loving them and praying for them. And they'll tell you they felt something different that they've never felt before. They might not ever step into the side of a church, but they were there with you, there,
Yeah.
and they felt it.
Wow. So let's talk about that some. In the intro, I said you were passionate about being a minister in the medical field. And
Hmm.
that's how I felt when I was working as a nurse too. It's, you're in that unique position to be the hands and feet to people who might not
Right.
ever step inside of a church building. So
Hmm.
to someone listening right now that maybe is feeling like they're not in ministry, or they don't have a typical cultural ministry of what we think, is ministry. Talk to them a little bit about how you've had to process that in your brain, and
Right.
maybe walk us through that.
Okay. So, I mean, I think being raised in church, we all want to be called into the ministry of some sort. I mean, growing up, I thought, maybe I'm supposed to be a pastor's wife. Maybe I'm supposed to be a missionary. I don't know. God had just used me. I want to be used for you. And so I always loved medicine and science. And I knew that that was something that God wanted me to do, but I didn't understand the concept that that could be a ministry in itself. I always thought that it had to be something on stage at church that was truly a ministry, because this was just a job and it was just something that I'm getting paid for. And yes, it is a job, and I'm thankful that I do get a paycheck for it, but it's not just a job, because I love these people. I care for them. I don't just go during hours of, operation. If I had a patient the other day that had a need and they called me after hours and it wasn't a problem, I stopped what I was doing and I went and took care of them, because
Wow.
it is my ministry. And so I think that any of us, whatever it is that we're doing, like I've got one of my good friends, she's a teacher and she touches children that we won't ever see, any other, reason. And she loves them and she's able to be there for them. So I think that whatever it is God has given you to do, there's a scripture that says, what is the scripture? Everything you do in word and deed, do it all unto the Lord. And so this is what He's set before me to do. And that's what I want to do. I want to do it all unto Him.
Yeah. Wow. So, and going through nursing school and even working shifts, you always have that possibility of having to work on church days, on Sundays and on Wednesdays. And I will never forget someone spoke into my life because I was struggling with that. And thankfully, I talked to my managers and asked if whenever I had to work a weekend, could I make my weekend Friday, Saturday instead of Saturday, Sunday? And for whatever reason, I know the Lord went before me, but they did grant that wish. And other nurses loved it because when they traded weekends with me, they got the perk of my shifts. But I will never forget someone speaking in my life saying, you're doing what you need to be doing, even though you are not here in church on that day, you are ministering. And you can think of it as the equivalent of someone at church working in their gifting and working in their ministry. And that helped me so much.
That's true.
Helped me so much. And that's not to say we can't ask for those things. We can't ask to have the best of both worlds, because going to church is very important. But to anyone who's struggling in their mind, if you can kind of rationalize it, that you are ministering in that hospital and on that shift, and to everyone to your coworkers, anyone you come in contact with, you are being the hands and feet of Jesus.
I agree.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is, because they see that we act different. They know that if they're saying, their dirty jokes, they're quiet down when you come around. Yeah. They know that we don't talk like that. We don't act like that.
Right. And, they apologize when they curse in front of us.
They do. That's right.
It's a respectful thing. It's very sweet.
Yeah. It is. It is.
So tell me about the coolest thing that's happened in your career. Would you say?
Goodness.
In our pre-interview, you mentioned something that you had a crazy opportunity come up.
Oh, yes. So in my primary care office, I take care of a lot of EMTs and firefighters, and they had a special contract with the city of Memphis, taking care of all their actors and actresses that come into town. And they needed a provider that would mind to come on set and to take care of them if there was any injuries or just, minor ailments or whatever. And so they asked me if I would be willing to do that. Of course I was willing to do that. That was so cool. I got to see them film some really neat things. I got to go on set. I don't know if you ever saw Buff City Law, or if you read about it.
I haven't, no.
But anyway, it was a big embassy drama. I've been through some of the CMT has some different ones that were out there that they filmed here. And so I've been through several different filming productions. And so that was really cool. And so I still got to meet a lot of neat people that I still keep in contact with. And so it kind of started a little concierge side business that I kind of got interested in, and that's really been fun because you meet some really unique people that are in Hollywood, and I was like, yeah, I've taken care of them and they're my patients still, so that's pretty cool.
So cool. Yeah. Now on the set, were there ailments and things that you had to take care of?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if like there was a fall or something, like they would have like their back would be out. But like one time, one of them, just had like migraine, just needed
Right.
just some medicine help and stomach bug, just little things that are here and there. One of them had, like flu, and just
Okay.
treat here and there. Nothing too exciting, but it was fun just seeing the set because I got to watch them film the scenes, and that they do the same thing over and over and over. But
That is so cool.
it was
So
really neat.
Tara, she knows all these celebrities that she can't tell us about. She is their medical provider. Which, so
Yeah,
cool. What a
it's
cool
really
avenue.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. And I think I have one random thing that's interesting about me is that I have never applied for a job. I think the Lord's just opened doors for me for every position I've ever had, including that working for, the set downtown.
Wow.
And I think that's just cool because, the Lord orders our steps. And
Yeah.
so, and He's always taking care of me.
Wow. That is so cool. So your hands are tied. I mean, you've got your hands in St. Jude. You've got your hands in Hollywood. You've got all of, all the spectrums here, which is just so neat. Now you mentioned
It's fun.
concierge a little bit. Is that something you're wanting to dive into? Because that seems like it
So
is the next step.
I think that would be fun. Down the road, this is something I had also kind of mentioned. Growing up, we have a big Baptist hospital here in town, and we also have a big Methodist hospital here in town. And I always ask my mom, why don't we have a Pentecostal hospital? I don't understand that. And so I thought, wouldn't it be neat to have a Pentecostal clinic or just
Yeah,
something to expand on it that was kind of community based? And so I think one day that is my goal is to maybe do some concierge, but just have it as a ministry truly because
yeah,
I just think that would be awesome. We're known as good people. We
yeah.
should provide good care to people and just let them see, as a extension of who we are. And
So
so,
true.
but my husband and we've talked about it, but I'd like for my kids to grow up just a little bit more. It just takes a large time commitment to have your own practice, and
Yes.
so
Well,
that's
when that happens, we will provide scrubs for your
all
entire
right.
staff
Yes,
if they need it.
yes, I would
We'll
love
come out
that.
with a special color just for your
That
clinic.
would be fabulous.
It'd be so awesome. Well, if you're listening and you're around the Memphis area, you're interested in the medical field, you need to reach out to her and get your name on her list for when she
There you go.
opens this clinic, because
There you go.
that's going to be a game changer for sure.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, it's been so great to talk to you and hear about your path. And I think it's really inspiring to know there are ladies out there who have families, who have 4 kids, who are active in their church and supporting their husband and their dreams, but that are also just making waves in the secular world as well and are remaining true to who they are, but know they are walking in the path God has for them and that they're distributing boldness and confidence in that. And I think you're a great inspiration for that. And I'm so glad we've been able to hear your journey.
Thank you.
And I want to ask you a question that we ask all of our guests on this podcast. And if you've listened before, then I'm sure you know it's coming.
I know.
But it's the first thing that comes to your mind. Tara, we want to know what is saving your life right now.
Well, everybody says coffee. I wish I liked coffee. I don't like
Yeah,
coffee. I like sweet tea because I'm from the South.
there you
And
go.
so I worked nights for 3 years. I survived it without zero coffee. I had a couple Cokes, but that's about it. But sweet tea is what I drink all the time. So not
Sweet
healthy. I should drink water.
tea. Now, are you like a McDonald's sweet tea girl? Is there a
Chick-fil-A or
Chick-fil-A?
McAllister's is acceptable as well.
Chick-fil-A and McAllister sponsor Tara and
Yes.
her.
Yes, please.
Oh, I love it. And now you said you're from the South. What part? I missed that.
So I live at the northern part of Mississippi. I was born in Cargill, which is just a suburb of Memphis in Tennessee. But so we're
So cool. Okay.
yeah.
And oddly enough, I don't drink coffee either.
Nice.
I do some iced coffee, but it tastes more like a milkshake than coffee.
Yes.
And there's way too many calories.
Frappuccinos.
Yes, for me to
Yes.
justify doing this all the time.
I agree.
I have started doing like a chai tea latte. I can do that.
I haven't tried those.
But in nursing school, they told me, like, you're going to pull all-nighters and you're going to need coffee.
Uh-huh.
And then if that doesn't convert you when you have kids, you'll need coffee. Well, I went through all of nursing school and did not pull one all-nighter and did not drink coffee. I don't
Wow.
have kids yet, so we're still
You
on
can
that
do it
path.
without kids. I mean, even with
You're
kids,
on
you don't
that.
have to have coffee. It's
That's
not a
right.
requirement.
That's right. I'll get some natural caffeine somehow, but
There you go.
I love it. Sweet tea. That's a Southern girl right there.
Sweet
Girl after
tea
my
and
own heart.
Jesus, right? That's all we need.
We need that t-shirt.
That's right.
That's right. Well, Tara, it was so great to talk to you, and I
Yes,
hope
thank
you get
you.
all the sweet tea that you need this week.
Thank you.
And I look forward to this episode going live.
Thank you.